Welcome back to the Rhonda Swan Show. Well, have you been following us? This show has gone completely wild. We have literally been interviewing this series of the Women Gone Wild authors of the new book, Women Gone Wild, The Feminine Guide to Fearless Living. And we're launching, and you get to be part of it. In fact, the women that I'm interviewing right now, the last three amazing authors, are going to share more deeply about their story. Truly about how you can find your wildness within yourself and to either take action on it or join this Women Gone Wild movement. We want to help wake up women around the world, and these women are here to do it and to show you how they've done it too. So without any further ado, let's bring out our first author. Her name is Allison Lewis. Allison is a woman that has her hands in many different pots. She is a creative entrepreneur working for the University of Kentucky for the last 14 years as a family and consumer science extension agent. We got to figure out what that is. That sounds amazing. And completing her master's degree in social work from the University of Louisville. She has served in the educational platforms for her advocacy and business sense. For the last 6 years, Allison has been an influencer and content creator for Absolute Ally. You have to follow her on Instagram. She's so awesome. And a life and a style blogger. She used this passion to create a business called Absolute Social, where she helps others cultivate digital lifestyles by monetizing social media channels for business and individuals. Allie Lewis, welcome to the show. How are you, love?
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on here and I'm excited for this book.
Oh my gosh. Sister, like seriously, we all have been working on this for so long. It's like, is it really gonna happen? And it's happening.
Yes, I feel it.
I know, I love it. Allie, I love what you do. I love what you represent. I love who you are and the way that you show up for women of diversity, for just women entrepreneurs to just truly stand in their power. And can you share with the audience, because I'm really excited about what your chapter is going to contain. So can you give everyone a little sneak peek about what they can expect for when they get their hands on this book from you?
Yes, my chapter in Women Gone Wild is about being authentic. Being in the social media influencer blogger world is known to be inauthentic. So I wanted to talk about how you should be authentic and show up online as yourself and not as someone else, and not try to compete or be fake online to gain followers, to gain customers, to gain whatever. If you are yourself, you attract people to you. But if you're not yourself, then they can see through you. So my chapter talks about how you can just be yourself, project out there what you want people to see and feel about you, and then you will attract them to you, and they want to be around you and want to know more about you.
Oh, I love that, Allie. You know, it's funny. I was talking to my daughter Hanale today, right? Because she's 14 and she's a young teen. If you think about what's going on in social media, right? Like these young women are looking at these non-authentic other influencers. I mean, and it's like it's an epidemic actually. And I can see how these young girls can, expect to have all these shapes in the same way and the face the perfect way. And I love what you do and what you represent, because you are such a beautiful example as well for our young teens and for all other even women, like including myself, right? For so many years, I had kind of like got locked in to these identities, right? And even recently, just letting those go. And I think this is where the wildness is happening. This is where that true authenticity and this feminine leadership is coming from. And I want to salute you and thank you for that. I'm so excited to hear what you have to say in the chapter. But I think more importantly, I want to know from you, Allie, what does gone wild like really mean to you, like deep inside of your passion, inside of your soul?
Not only does it mean to be authentic, it means to let go, to shine through, to not stand behind the door, let people know about you, what's going on. It is not listening to what everybody else says and following your own rules and not conforming to society's rules. I think I spent a long time, as many of us do, like falling into line and doing like what we're supposed to do. I talk about in my chapter oh, go to college, get a job, and
Yeah.
that's what you're supposed to do, and you're supposed to stay there forever.
Right.
Well, I want to break out of that mold. I want them to be entrepreneurs. I want them to go wild and show them their true selves and what wild is and what that means to them, and just break free.
Oh my gosh. I know your audience is so excited about this too. And it makes me think like, we always talk a lot about our mission and our why. Would you say that this is really part of your why? And how is that like relating to the way that you're like navigating your daily life now, like with your mission and your why?
It fits right in. My mission and this year and years to come is to see more people that look like me on social media. Being in that blogger influencer space, I feel like the audience is not as diverse. I don't see lots of bloggers that are African American or who are Asian or brown skin like me. So I'm on a mission to help other women entrepreneurs if they want to be influencers, if they just want to be in that social space. I want to help them break free and be wild. So my mission is to help women in business grow their digital presence and show their diversity out there to the world.
Well, that's what the book stands for, right? It's like really truly about diversity. One of our days on that summit is D, WILD, and D is diversity. It's like I mean, for centuries, right? Like, how is this even possible in 2021 and we're having to talk about diversity? Like, how is that even possible, right? And the suppression that's taking place in so many cultures and culture appropriation, it's like, it's time to really shine light on this, and especially right now more than ever. And it's, it's like, it just makes me so proud to think that this group of women have come together to just really bring this message out. And so I always ask this question though, Allie, because I love it, and it helps us really see like where we are now. And it's always like where you are right now as this Allie, like seeing what you see, being the woman that you are. What would you tell little Allie as she's growing up, like that 5-year-old, 4-year-old Allie? Like, what advice could you give her that she could bring in to her new life, and so that you could, become the Allie that you are today?
I would tell her, don't stay too long in a space that is not either benefiting you or not serving you. I just left my job after 15 years. It was not serving me at all. And I wanted to be in this other space where I felt like I was helping people, helping them break out and be wild and be free and show who they are, not locked down to something for a paycheck. I want to show people how to be an entrepreneur, how women to get out there, to be their own, to make their own. So I would tell little Allie, if it's not serving you, find ways to get out and find something that does serve you.
Such big advice. Like, think about when we were little, right? And I think of the things and the influences that we had. Now, most of us only had our parents, and then we start looking at our friends and our circles and our influences. But like social media, this era, right? The last 10 years, these kids are like learning from so many other people. And so to really find inside of themselves and just to not touch things that don't serve you. Like, I think it's really beautiful, advice, because this is what our young and our youth and the mission and why we're doing this book. It's like, let all the old stuff go. That stuff where girls get mad at girls and things are going on, and this is like, I don't like you. It's like, wow, how damaging have we been to each other? And I think it's a beautiful way to shine and show the growth that we can have together. So Allie, thank you for who you are, what you do. Can you please share with everyone, because I know they're gonna wanna find out where this absolute Allie is, because this woman is also running the Women Gone Wild book social media page. You can find it on Facebook, you can find it on Instagram. This woman is doing all of our marketing. So if you're like, wow, this is epic, this is her business, this is what she's doing for you ladies. You need a woman like you on your back, right? So would you share with them how they find you, Allie, whether it's a website or on your social media, so they can all follow you and get ready for this book?
Yeah, so I'm all over social media at absolutely_Allie, ALLI, or absolutely_social is the business page, or absolutelyallie.com. I would love to serve you and help you be who you want to be and go wild totally digitally, or any way that I can. So
yes. Oh.
Thank you. I'm super excited about this book.
Oh, girl, I am too. Thank you, Allie. All right, guys, that was amazing, right? Like, we got two more, so hold tight because this next woman's gonna knock you off your socks, to be completely frank. She is a complete dynamo, and she's been traveling around the world as a solo girl. Her name is Alexa West. Alexa is best known as the founder and the creator of Solo Girls Travel Guide. I know most of you, if you're a traveler, you've probably gotten this book. It's the #1 guidebook series for women and girls in global and collection of online girl gangs around the world where women fiercely support and empower each other. For over 10 years, Alexa's been changing the way women travel the world. Without boyfriends or big bank accounts, this is like my favorite Alexa. She's been featured in publications such as Disrupt. She was one of the 8 incredible women changing the face of business on how they actually did it. Podcasts like College Magazine, and has even had her book featured on HBO's Curb Your Enthusiasm. She's going to be featured in Forbes magazine with our book. Alexa, seriously, this girl has done it. And I know that you've got women and groups, every country that you've been in, there's like this big group that pops up because I'm in Bali and there's the Girls of Bali group and it's run by you. Alexa West, thank you so much for being a part of the show. How are you in Mexico, by the way?
I know, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you since Bali and I missed you. And yeah, I'm coming at you now from Mexico.
So cool.
My life just goes that way.
So how has it been traveling in Mexico as a solo girl traveler?
You know, it's been really amazing. I am now traveling with my best friend she bought my book for Bali. She bought my book on Amazon. We met in Bali because she was a reader and now she's my best friend and we're writing all these books from Mexico and like unlocking Mexico for all the, it's amazing. I'm living my dream life.
I love it. Well, I'll tell you, this is what's really funny. So this is only my second book that I've launched, right? And it's been a year and a half in the making, this current Women Gone Wild book. This woman pops out books like she's popping cookies. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm not joking. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much involved in this book and this summit and managing 24 women. She's like, yeah, I just had 4 that like launched a month ago. I'm like, oh my God, please, sister, give me some of your energy. So Alexa, you're the best. So tell me, what does Women Gone Wild mean to you? Like, why did you say yes to being part of this?
Okay, so Rhonda, first of all, I am always so inspired by you, right? You have done what I want most women to do when it's just say no to the life that is like kind of forced upon us. So my chapter is about quitting. It's about quitting the things that don't feel good. It's about quitting the things that we didn't choose. It's about choosing our own lives. So my chapter is about quitting, traveling the world, really using travel as a tool to figure out who you are, what you want, what matters, and then build your life off of that. My chapter really is just my formula. I've done it for 10 years and it's my formula of how to just kind of say no to things that don't serve you. When you quit the things that don't serve you, you make room for the things that do. And it's that.
I love it. Well, we are kindred spirits with this travel thing, right? Because my family's been on the road for 13 years. I certainly do not know how you are doing it yourself, but now I realize the way that you're doing it. You're not alone because you're creating a community of women that are either meeting up, right? Like, so at every country you go to, you get this like group of women that are also solo travelers that you connect with.
Yeah. For the first 6-7 years, I was alone. Wow. I was totally alone. And I didn't like guidebooks. So the Solo Girls Travel Guide is the best-selling travel guidebook series for women. But I never kind of attached to like Lonely Planet or whatever, because I felt like those were written for dudes. I felt like they didn't speak to me. I felt so alone. And I was like, what if there was a book that warned me about everything? So I just started solving my own problem. I wrote a travel guide for myself, like what like little me would want. And I didn't know if anyone would read it or see it. And it turns out that
they did.
It went really a lot. I solved my own problem. And in turn, I solved the problem of so many other people. And now I'm not alone anymore.
I love it. I mean, it's so big and what you're doing is so huge. That's why obviously you being in this book, it's like these women that want to be, travelers. I mean, think about it. Like the world has gone completely wild right now. Like it's losing itself. So, and that travel piece is still there. It's still possible. And so now you've got someone that can guide you, And I think it's huge. So would you tell me, Alexa, for you, like, what would you say then now is your bigger mission? Like, what is that why and that bigger mission that keeps you going? Because you could have just stayed in Bali. Like, you're like, I'm out of here. I'm going to Mexico. I'm like, what do you mean? Bali's so good right now.
It was really hard for me to leave Bali. Actually, it was really hard for me to leave. My bigger mission is I want to flip the script for girls. You know, like if I had accepted the life that was given to me, I would be working like some HR job. I would probably be married to some guy that wasn't right for me. And I would probably be like, there has to be something more, but I want to flip the script. I want girls to go travel, figure out who they are, what they want, what they're about before they make those huge decisions of career, corporate ladders, jobs, babies, husbands, like figure out who you are first. You know how like in our culture, we have like, we're going to work so hard and then retire and travel the world. Yeah. What if we did it the opposite way?
So big.
What if we traveled the world, figured out who we were, and then we got into those relationships? I am so excited for whatever comes in the future for like my marriage or my children, because I'm going to know who I am. I'm going to raise my kids in a way because I know who I am rather than doing it the other way.
It's so big. And I love that. I mean, that's like my daughter, right? She's been traveling since she was 1 year old. And right, she knows that we left the corporate space, but she's like, this is my life. And now she's like, I want to go travel. And now she's got an inspirational woman that is in the book. My daughter's also an author, but she's like, oh, see, Alexa's doing it. And Mom, I could do it. I'm like, you can, babe. Like she wants to get her own VW van and go cruise around. I'm like, right? Like she'll probably come and join you. I love it. So Alexa, what is, when you really like sink in and say, like, what does gone wild, like what does it really mean on like a cellular level for you? Because you said an absolute F yes to this one, and you're an author, like you've written a lot of books. You don't necessarily need to be in another book. However, like gone wild is meaning something for so many women right now. What does that really mean for you right now, and how are you applying it to your life?
I want girls to start listening to their intuition. Us women, we have such a superpower, and it's our intuition. But we're taught to explain it away, analyze it away. Start listening to your intuition. When that relationship feels toxic, when that job doesn't feel right for you, listen to it, take a chance. And I know that it sounds so dreamy if I just say, quit, travel the world. Like it sounds like, oh, so easy. But like I quit with $200 in my pocket. Like I had no idea what I was doing. I know girls that have taken their baby and just left and done it. There's no more excuses anymore. We're in 2021, like digital nomad work, remote work, like the pandemic has been such a blessing and a curse, but in the way that it's time for us, we can reinvent this now. So it's time for us to really kind of Marie Kondo our life and go in and be like, what isn't working? Let's redo it. Let's redo it. Say no, listen to your intuition. When something doesn't feel good, say no to it and replace it. Go travel the world, figure out who you are and replace it.
Yeah, it's so big. I love that. I know the next author interviewing, she always talks about this Marie Kondo in our life. And it's such a big thing, right? Like, and we've all done it. And I think as women, we go through these cycles, right? Because our intuition just drives us. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this isn't working. And then we stop and really look at it. It's like the women that are feeling that, like they're feeling the wildness. It's like a fire burning inside of them. But most of them are hiding it too because they think, I got a family, I have a job, I'm stuck. You're not stuck. And this woman is completely proving it. And there's so many others. And that's why we want to build this movement. So you can feel all these different forms of life of women that have done different things. Maybe, traveling doesn't resonate with you. However, building an online business might, or, doing different things may, and that's what this is about. And so Alexa, last question I have for you, and then we're going to learn more about how they can fully follow you and find you, is if you were to tell that a little Alexa, right, what you know now, what would you tell her? What would be your absolute best advice so we can help this young youth of the world really feel what it means to be wild and what they should be looking for?
I'd say don't go too fast. I'd say get to know yourself first. And I would say, like, what's right for you. Don't go asking everyone else what's right for you. You know what's right for you. Really tune into that intuition. Don't go too fast. Say no to things that aren't right for you and trust yourself.
Yeah, that's so big. Yeah, that's so big of advice. Like, don't go too fast, because really, the world is gone super fast. Everything moves too fast, especially in our youth. It's like, enjoy the moment, and I think it's big advice even for me. Every time I ask this question of the authors and our guests, because I learn from every bit of advice. I'm like, yeah, that was so good. I wish I would have knew that, Yeah. So Alexa, where can everyone find you? I mean, your chapter is going to be off the chain. They probably want to already get your any of your Solar Girl books now. Where can they find that? How do they follow you? And let's really move this.
So you can go to the solargirlstravelguide.com. It has everything I do. But I'm not a big Instagrammer, but I always respond to every message on Instagram. So if you really want to connect with me, reach out to me, Solo Girls Travel Guide on Instagram, and I'm going to write you back. I write everyone back. So
I love it. Where, so if you're not a big Instagrammer, where is your biggest platform?
I honestly, my biggest platform is just like traveling the world and chilling. I'm not that big. Like I write books, I'm not that huge on social media. I just travel the world and, I'm paving paths. And if people want to follow my path, follow it. But I'm really not that tuned in. I'm really having my human experience and trying to get offline as much as I can. And I want more people to do that. So, but reach out to me. I do love my DMs.
Yeah, I love that. It's so humbled, right? It's like, that's a beautiful message. Like, because everyone thinks, I have to be on social media. I have to do all this. You don't to live the most fullest, wildest, divine, juicy life.
Yeah, but like, do what feels good to you. Like, I'm so inspired by Allie. Like, I love what she does. Do what feels good to you.
Yeah.
If it feels good to you, do it. But for me, I just don't. Yeah.
You don't do it. I love it. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Alexa. You are an absolute rock star, babe. I cannot wait to see you somewhere around the world, whether you come back to Bali or where I meet you.
I'll be back.
All right, I love it. All right, guys. Our next guest, our final author that I'm interviewing of the series, and I absolutely love this woman. That's why I put her to the very end, because she's so deep and she really helps people tune in, like really tune in to that story of that you either have been telling yourself or that you need to tell to truly be completely and indiably authentic. And her name is Celine DaCosta. Celine is an author, a speaker, a story alchemist, and self-actualized coach for high-achieving entrepreneurs and executives. She helps her clients become confident and fully expressed leaders with transformational stories, influential brands, and a tribe of raving fans. Since leaving corporate America in 2015, she has visited 60 plus countries, worked with clients from 30 plus nationalities, and interviewed hundreds of people around the world about their story. And this woman, she really Marie Kondo'd her life. And I love her story so deeply because Celine, welcome to the show. You actually traveled around the world on a couch after you left corporate. Like, we need to hear that first before I even talk about this wild stuff, because this needs to be heard, because this is where women are like, this woman did what? Like, tell us what you did.
Yeah, sure. I guess it would make sense to lead with that. So I was in corporate New York City for a few years, and it got to the point where there was so much going wrong in my life, and I was in so much pain, and I felt so trapped in like, there's no way out, that I realized that the only thing I could do is the most extreme thing of all. But being ambitious, being somebody, at first I was like, I'm just going to quit it all, forget about it, and just go travel and backpack the world, which there's nothing wrong with that. But being like, I was so deep in, I want to start my career. I want to, do something that I'm like, okay, what about if I redirect I want to create something energy into a project, like an actual project. So I designed this social experiment in which I challenged myself to circumnavigate the globe. So to go from New York back to New York by couch surfing without ever using a website. So what that means, yeah, so it's through human connection. So what that meant is that I challenged myself to sleep on the couches of people who I was connected to somehow or introduced to. So friends of friends, people that I met on the road, people that I would literally meet in cafes. And so I spent a year traveling to over 20 countries and sleeping in the homes of over 100 people, most of them who were strangers, and documenting the whole journey. And that was how I was able to essentially break myself out of the societal mold that I was basically felt so trapped by. I just broke out of jail, and I did it in a way that I had no idea where I was going, what I was going to do. But long story short, I had faith and I followed my intuition. I followed my heart, and it just very naturally, organically led me to the business I have today, the career and my life's purpose. So,
well, I love it, Celine, because it's truly about, you said this and I want to repeat it because it's about connection. And I think this is really huge because people are thinking, oh, I have to have a website. I have to like run this online business. You're like, no, it's about human connection. And I think this is what makes you so wild because you've done it in such an alternative way. Now, certainly you're utilizing the resources and the platforms to help you develop and build your business. But you started your life in this whole new transformation of you that way. And I think it's really gorgeous. And this is why I want to know from you, like, what does really going wild mean? Because you're like, I'm like going, what? This woman is wild. And what does that mean to you inside of your, in a deep cellular level?
So it's really interesting because I was thinking about this and I know about the forum, but when I really dropped in as I was listening and just felt what it meant to me, it's interesting because when we think wild, it's like fire and go, right? But for me, let's see if I can put this into words. Woman going wild is really going like this. Mm-hmm. It's really actually going in. And when I hear that word, I feel the earth in my toes.
Yeah.
And I feel like myself touching a tree and really connecting with the essence of who I really am. And so when it comes to what Woman Gone Wild, what it means to me and what it means also in the light of this book and this project that you're doing, yes, it's, about like see me and hear me roar and I'm a powerful woman and all those things. But underneath that, it's like, it's really about who am I? What am I here to do? What am I here to create? Because as women, we are the creators. and how do I basically like keep going in, rooting in and back into the earth and back into source and origin. And so, to me, being a woman gone wild for me has been an experience of not just because I'm naturally a very fiery person, but it's rather about finding my water, finding my earth, finding my air, finding my ether, and how do all of these elements actually work in harmony to make me the most powerful woman that I can be.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's because I too, right, have been in this recent last year and a half, like deep transformation of getting out of the stuff and into the earth, right? And you said something really beautiful that is so important. Like women, we need to find our water. Like this is what we're made of, and this connects us to the earth and understanding like what the gifts that we've been given, right? We are given the possibility of creating life. Like that's what women are for. And so I really do love that, Celine. Will you share with everyone more deeply like where your chapter is going to take them? Because the work that you do is really, really deep. I mean, I've been in branding for 15 years. And when you and I met, I started learning about the process, the methodologies, and the way they were helping people bring their stories out. It was just like such a beautiful process. And I want to learn more about what you're going to be teaching or sharing inside your chapter.
Yeah, for sure. So it's interesting because, what I do is I help people tell their story internally and externally. However, I was really tempted to write a chapter. It was like how to tell your story. But I feel that there's so much of that already online. I've written about it. I do courses on it. But rather, I wanted to go a deeper step because a lot of people, the first question they ask me is, how do I tell my stories? How do I do this? And so that's why I decided to make my chapter about courage. Courage, not fearlessness. Because one of the things that, I learned, and this is a lesson I've had to learn over and over. It's not a one-time thing that I kind of checked off, but it's more, I always say that courage is a muscle. You need to strengthen it. And the more you exercise it, the stronger and more courageous you become. And for me, the ultimate leap of faith was, quitting my job in New York City and being like, I'm literally going to go sleep in the homes of strangers and just see where I go, like in my life. Having no money, having no idea of what I was going to do, no idea what my purpose was. I just threw myself into this void. And I remember one of my friends who met me about 9 months into my trip, she looks at me and she's like, Celine, you're so fearless. And I'm like, that is not true. Wow. I'm so scared all the time, but my desire for something bigger is bigger than my fear. And courage is something that I'm consistently investing in. And every single day I'm putting in something and it's giving me the dividends. And so what I share in the chapter is a deeper philosophy on how can you tap into that deeper courage within yourself, even if you're scared, to do it scared. And I share a formula of how can you go beyond that fear and tap into courage, because what's on the other side of that courage is the life that you desire, is the story that you don't just want to tell, but you want to become. And so that when we look at how do you tell your story, before it's that courageous decision of I'm going to change. I'm going to do what's really scary. I'm going to say what I'm afraid to say, because people might judge me because of how others might perceive me. And at the core of that story, drilling down, the seed is I choose courage. So that's what the chapter's about.
Woo! Oh my goodness. Oh, that is so powerful. I mean, if you think about it, like, we use those statements so lightly, right? Like, oh, success is on the other side of fear. And everyone's like, okay, just push through it. It's like, it's real though. Like we really, every day, like before this show, I'm like, I'm at my altar and I'm praying and just giving me the courage and the strength to like be able to interview all of you so well and like be able to deliver this message. It's like, these are real fears that come up. And as women, especially as connected women, that we are now really seeing the power of sisterhood. Like being back in corporate, it was like, I want to get better than you. It's like, no, it's like, how can we help each other be fearless together and help create courageousness within each other? And that's by support. And it's so beautiful. And I think this is, exactly what women need to hear more so from. So it sounds like though to me too, that this is also becoming even more deeply part of your mission, because I love how you're like, look, yeah, I tell stories and I teach people how to do all that, but this is like more deep. So what is then your bigger mission and your why then for what you're doing every day, and how are you bringing that out to the world?
Yeah, it's really interesting because you, out of all people, have seen my process, and even you and I created a course together, so you even know how I teach the extraction of why. And I've been going through this 18-month alchemy of myself, where even what my why was a year and a half ago is still it, but it's a smaller part of the bigger picture. And when I tune in, for me, my mission is really to help people own their story fully. And what I mean by that is, yes, I would say about 20% of it is, how do I show up in the world, in my business, with my brand? How do I, share what my values are and what's important to me and how I can serve people? That's really important, which manifests in branding, in publicity, in marketing, and it helps people understand who you are, why they should trust you, and how you can serve them. And the step before that, which is really at the heart of what I do, is helping people understand their internal story. And, we all have our own narrative from zero, or even before zero, we're not going to go there into the past lives, but let's just go simplifying it, 0 to today, of, all the things that happen to us, our experiences, our stories, our relationships, the way that we grew up. And, we want, being human, we want to just have that hero's journey of, oh, this is how amazing I am. And this is how I, I'm like a phoenix out of the ashes. Here's what I've created and here's how I can help people. And that's a really beautiful narrative that is going to empower you in an amazing way. But first, you need to understand, what were your lowest lows? What were those traumas, those beliefs that you hold about yourself that actually keep you from shining your light? What is all the junk that's in front of you that is keeping you from fully showing up into your mission? And I believe that is actually not just as important, but more important in some places for you to look at that. Before you can go out and show people the gold. You gotta dig, you gotta release, you gotta let go of what isn't serving you. So really my deeper mission is to help people understand and connect to the truth of who they really are, what they're ashamed of, what they are proud of, and accept it all and love it all. And when you do that, you can show up in the world completely owning yourself in an authentic way. And whatever you speak, whatever you share will carry the vibration of healing. Your story, when you heal from it, becomes your medicine. And that's how you can really help people and encourage them to tell their story. So that's where I find myself, is helping people through that alchemy of how do we turn your story into a medicine for you, number one. And number two, that you can give to others once your cup is full.
It's huge. Wow, that is like, when you said that, Celine, like everything just, like the frequency in my body just elevated, because I know that is such deep work that you've been doing. I've been doing the same deep work and realizing that, and it's not, like there's also stories that we tell ourselves, which give us our direction, which and you have to start realizing those are just stories you've been telling yourself. Like when we let that go and we drop those identities, I went through a major purging process recently, and I know that you are relating to this as well, because it's like we've been living in this perception, this world that we think is ours, and all these people and all these things, and they're doing these things to us. And when all of a sudden those veils come down and that truth comes through, that's the story. Like, the truth cannot be denied. And when someone is really speaking and acting in their truth because they've let all the bullshit go, that's where the beauty lies. And this is such a beautiful work and development that you're doing. And I can see, like, other executives. I know you work so deeply with brands and executives and women of I guess status, if you will, that are building businesses. These women deserve to know this. They need to understand this process, because in order for us to truly be a Women Gone Wild movement, the women that are leading the charge, the influencers, the business owners, they've got to let that shit go. I just fully admitted, right? Like, some of the stuff that I was doing and who I was being was not purely authentic. And I didn't even know I was under the veil of this patriarchy. Like, this is the deep stuff. And I just absolutely adore you for it. I'm so excited that you're in this book, that you are sharing this message, and like your frequency is going to explode out of this book. So one last question before we find out where they can follow you is, what would you tell that little Celine? Like, not the Celine that couch surfed, right? But that little Celine before, that might be really scared, and not sure about her life or her future. What would you tell her now to make her feel supported, that she can see this grown-up Celine and who she's being now in this message that you're bringing out?
Yeah. So what I would say is, it's funny because I would tell little Celine something that maybe future me would tell me now as well, but obviously in a deeper context, which is to trust the process and actually enjoy the process as I'm in it. And I found that, growing up as little Celine had so many survival mechanisms, some of which I am still unpacking and unlearning and dismantling today. But it was so bad to the point where she just couldn't see anything beyond those survival mechanisms. And I think something I really love about her is that she's always was like, okay, what's next? How can I make things better? How can I improve? How can I grow? There's always all this like series of brave and courageous decisions that she made in order for her to create this life that I have now, which is a beautiful life that just fills my heart. And so, but the issue is that every time she would always be thinking about what's next. Okay, what about the other thing I got to fix? What about the other thing I need to improve? What about the other thing that needs to get better? Instead of being like, wow, I'm on this step right now. And yes, there's a little bit of challenge. And yes, I do want to go to the next step, but how cool is this step? How grateful am I that I get to be on this step? How exciting and fun can this be? So I think that I spent, it's a gift today that I grew up very quickly, that's where the depth comes from. But sometimes I wish I could just tell her, like, it's okay to just be a kid. It's still okay today. It's okay to play. It's okay to just enjoy it and not worry about whether you're going to be okay or whether the next step is going to work out, and just like be where you're at right now and just be grateful and enjoy it and enjoy your friends and enjoy the life around you. It doesn't always have to be totally buttoned up and perfect. And so just have faith, just have faith because it's coming.
Yes. Ah! I wish I could tell her. I love it. Well, that's like something it's so good for like my daughter, right? To even hear this message, because, like sometimes she grew up pretty fast as well. And it's like, we just like literally felt like we needed to slow time. And I think it's such a big message, because kids today, they're watching social media, they're looking they want to be grown-ups, they want to be influencers, they want to do all this stuff. But just like be. And as women too, like just be in your process. Like right now, where you are right now, love it and appreciate it. Celine, I absolutely adore you, and I want you to know how happy I am to have you in this book. And there's been like so many things that have developed, and it's so much beauty that comes from those types of developments. And I'm super excited for what's coming. So could you please share with everyone, how do they find you? Because I know that they're going to love your work. They're going to love your message. They're going to love your stories. So they need to know how to find you.
Yes, of course. So the first part, I would send you to my website, which is CelineDaCosta.com. One important thing to know is that my name is spelled with one L and two N's. That's a common mistake. So CELINNE Don't ask me why. My mom got creative. So CelineDaCosta.com is where you can find out more about me, my story, how I can help you either through a private program, course. I also have a really amazing free masterclass that you can take if you want to start doing this work for yourself. So that's step one. And then I would highly encourage you to go onto my Instagram at CelineDaCosta. If listening to this, you're curious about how does this whole story thing works? How can I get started? How can I start this work on myself? Then go there. And in my captions, I'm always giving value and tips. In my stories, you can see a bit of the Bali life. And I'm always just sharing my experience and what I'm learning and whatever I can with anyone. So I would definitely recommend CelineDaCosta.com and then Celine DaCosta, where you can engage, send me a message, we can connect there.
Perfect. I love it. And don't worry, everyone. Everything is going to be not only in the show notes on the podcast and the show notes here on Instagram, YouTube, you know it. You're going to be able to link to all of these unbelievable women. So I want to just close this container right now and thank the three of you so much for the contribution, for who you are as women, for who you are in your womb and in your depth of your spirit, where you're coming from and who you're becoming, because the more we women can support each other, love each other, and give each other the encouragement and the tools that we've used to be wild, we'll have more and more women coming on board with this movement. So ladies, thank you so much for being here. I cannot wait to see you soon. Some of you are going to be here. Actually, Celine's going to be here in Bali. We're going to run a live event here in Bali at the end of October. We've got the live summit actually coming up September 28th, 29th, 30th, and the 1st. This is going to be a 4-day action-packed summit. There's going to be over 10 women every day. We've got entertainment. We have a hint that Smash Mouth might be playing for us. And these women and 40 other women are going to be sharing their story. Diana Wentworth is the foreword of our book, who is also the co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. Danette May, who is an advocate for women, is also supporting our book. And we've got a number of different celebrities that are going to be coming forward and giving what Women Gone Wild means to them. And we are just so excited to have it. So remember, you got to go, though, to WGWbook.com. That's where it all starts. Go there, you'll be able to get on the list. If the book isn't launched yet, you'll be the first to know. If the book is already launched and you're watching the show, make sure you get access to that book. And then you'll also be, once you get access to the book, all you have to do is send us an email receipt that says, I've gotten it, and you're gonna get all of the free gifts. You're gonna get invited to the VIP event summit. If it's already passed and you're watching this later, don't worry, because we're gonna send you all the recordings as well, because you get access to this book. This is going to be a movement. We are creating a Woman Gone Wild movement to inspire more women around the world to go wild, to get back into the earth, to be regrounded, to find out who they are. So their authentic self, their wildness, their travel self, their emotional being, who they are, can let all those veils down and truly come through as the most authentic woman that can be an example not only for our younger generations, for our older generations, and for the current women right now that are ready to go wild. So I want to invite you, come be wild with us. Thanks everyone for being on the show. We'll see you next time. And as always, be unstoppable and stay wild.